But when you measure it flat, it contradicts that. I'm spitting flat facts and that. And I know you don't like that. Google Maps is flat, it presents elevation profiles like that. I'm a spitting flat earth king. Sentence has a ring, doing my own thing. If earth was a big roast chicken, factually finger licking chicken. We just got the measurements missing. I'm spitting eggs and begs, begging the question lesson. I've said it before, time after time. I'm the spitting flat earth king of rhyme.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using stock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by Neil, Sensual Goat, Len, Arthur, and a couple of people in the Flipside Discord server. So, welcome one and all.
Afternoon.
How are you?
Good evening.
Happy New Year.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you may be in the world. Happy New Year to all of you.
For 2026.
It is. Made my new playlist yesterday for Flat Earth Thoughts 2026. I run out of space on a lot of my playlists. I think there's a maximum of 5,000 videos you can put on them or something like that. And I've literally run out. So you add videos to it, like, why isn't that video added? Oh, right, you can only have so many videos in a playlist. So I have to make them new each year so they don't run out of space. I don't think I'd be running out of hard drive space, though. I recently calculated how much I'd got left, and I think I've got about a 2-year period, maybe 3 years left of hard drive space left on the computer, which is good. Very good. So, we all enjoying the new year, 2026, in full swing, as it is?
I'm enjoying the extra couple of minutes of light every day.
Is it starting to get more light now?
Since the solstice, I think it's 2 minutes of extra light every day.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, that is good. I do like it going back into summer, I've got to be honest. I get slightly more miserable as it gets darker and darker and darker. Of recent months, I've been not using my projector when it's winter, so the light still comes in. So what I typically did in summer was I'd lower the screen, so I've got 2 screens. I've actually asked Craig, is there a small monitor I can tuck in? Maybe haven't got space to put a second monitor in. Like I say, I use my projector, but I haven't been. So I've got like a bazillion windows all overlapping each other, which just doesn't do the computer any good. It stresses the graphics card. But yeah, so I get a bit more sun if the screen's not down because it covers the main window in this room. But getting more light is a big bonus.
Definitely.
Did you say that you'd not been to sleep yet, Len?
No, was out in town last night with a few friends and had a few people back here, and I've been awake watching bloody YouTube videos all night and day.
Awesome stuff. Anybody else been up all night? We played Monopoly, so my kids have never been up as late as they were last night, but my eldest daughter, for whatever reason, has got particularly into the New Year celebration. She had eyeliner 2026 put on her face, so when we were walking around in town, she's got people staring at her going, okay, fair enough. She's going to be a party animal, I can just see it happening.
I feel bad for my boys because when I was their age, when the bell struck and it hit midnight, that's when the party started. Last night, as soon as the freaking ball dropped, within an hour, we were leaving.
Why was it dying?
It's not the same. Like my family, they had big New Year's Eve parties. I mean, big. And we used to just run. Whoever hosted it, I mean, my mother had 4 sisters and 2 brothers, so they had a big family. So I had a lot of cousins, and it was just party time. Now it's like just everybody just sits around and watches the freaking New Year's on TV, the entertainers. It's just different.
You say on TV. My kids don't know what TV is. All they
No,
ever watch is-
YouTube did a number on TV.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, would you have ever think it when you were a kid, right? TV was my life, and most people on this panel, I'm sure, are a similar age to me. You know, most people sat in front of the TV a foot and a half away from it watching Thundercats or whatever. You know, that was our lives back when we were kids. Now, TV, what's that? That dusty old thing that some old grandma has in her corner.
Now it's just for events, like there's big football games on today. So they'll be on TV, but YouTube's taking that over too.
You know, I enjoyed watching this morning. I haven't done it for a while, but because there's less microphones being sold, I think, because people are out partying. So I didn't have anything to do, as in box up microphones or list microphones, because none of them arrived. Well, that was more because my paper shop had closed early, so the ones that I had ordered didn't arrive. So typically, I'd have been sat in front of the camera making microphone videos, going, "This microphone is a Sennheiser 451. It's a cardioid dynamic from the 1970s." I didn't get to do any of that. So instead, I've forgotten where I was going now. What was I babbling about? I forgot what I was talking about now. Talking about bloody microphones.
TV.
Oh, it's gone. I've forgotten what I was going to talk about now. Who cares? It's New Year. Happy New Year to you all. Oh, yeah, I watched my own show. That's what I was going to say. I watched yesterday's live show. So I'm like, I always think in my mind when I'm producing the show, like now, when I get annoyed with someone like Angels of Light, that I'm being a lot more aggressive than I actually am. So when I go back and listen after the fact, it typically isn't as bad as I thought it would be. You know what I mean? It always feels like I'm being more harsh than I actually am. Whereas when I went back and listened to yesterday's show, I was like, actually, as much as I say so myself, it was a very good show. So the guy on the panel in the after show was like, "What show would you go to?" And I was like, not today's, because all we're doing is covering anti-flat earthers and flat earthers, or now what we call anti-globers, arguing amongst themselves and ignoring all the flat earth prerequisites. But in so doing, yesterday's show did actually highlight lots of flat earth prerequisites as they were produced. And each and every time that they got brought up, it was like every 20 seconds, the video gets paused and they get pointed out. Like, you can't move past an altitude measurement perpendicular to a plane of reference. You can't describe an angle down towards the ground unless you've got a horizontal plane of reference. You can't have the plane be in level flight as the, believe it or not, globe believers say, "Well, it's got to be at least level." You've got to be at least flying flat. You're like, oh.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yesterday's show is good because of that. You got to point out everything.
Yeah, but my blood pressure's raised so high that I'm concerned that it's like just a bit too much. Now, yes, there was the odd swear here and there, but it was one or two. It wasn't horrendous, and you know, it was a very shareable show. And admittedly, yes, there was a couple of swear words in there, but for the most part, my disdain is just my irritation expressed through the camera. It's not unwatchable or unlistenable. It's just me irritated with the fact that people are measuring Earth flat and then ignoring it to ask a baller how it works on a ball. It's like, what? How this only capable of measurement and description on a flat Earth works on a ball? That irritates me greatly, but it means it gets expressed to the audience. So yesterday's show was good. It doesn't change my attitude. I do want to just cover normies. I'd rather be covering a pilot describing how his gyroscope works, describing how ground control tell him to fly to a certain flight level. That's what I'd rather be covering. Yes, Nathan, me too. Well, I'm pleased you all agree with me.
I agree 100%. It was an outstanding show. I enjoyed it, and blood pressure is overrated anyway, just like sleep.
Now, I'm looking forward to getting my little timer plug so I can get some sleep again. You know, hearing that's what I hear in the middle of the night when my dehumidifier comes on. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's better than having mouldy shoes. But still, I'd rather actually get some sleep as opposed to, you know, at least 3 or 4 times a night being woken up by a machine that's on the window ledge, chugging away.
Is there a special dinner today in the UK for New Year's Day, or just a regular day?
Well, it's a bank holiday. That is to say, everybody in the country's closed their shops and, you know, there's a couple of petrol stations open, but that's about it. So for the most part, everybody is off today. But like you, or like some of the people on the panel, most people are hungover. So it's not like Thanksgiving or Christmas where, you know, you get a turkey dinner. Now, for us, that is not the case. We are getting a posh dinner. My wife's got a roast in the oven. So we will get a roast dinner.
Nice. Yeah, we're having the turkey. My wife felt that Thanksgiving, that there wasn't a good turkey dish. My brother messed up the turkey. That's what happened. It was dry as dry can be. So we're doing a turkey. I have it brining in a bucket outside right now. A food grade bucket, of course.
When
So we will be having turkey.
When's that getting eaten?
We're shooting for 3-4 o'clock today.
Oh, so it's today's din-dins.
Yeah, she's going to make the Yorkshire pudding and all of that. It's going to be a proper English dinner with
Roast
the
potatoes.
cauliflower and broccoli with the cheese.
Very nice. Sounds great. That's what we're having too, but with roast beef.
Not for the turkey.
Let us know in the comments what you're having. Who's in the comments? Let's say hello to a few people. Got Tony. How are you doing, Tony? Good to see you. UK Diamond 33. Nice to have you. Breath is life. Very nice to see you in our chat. Nice to see you. What's that? Horror sheet. Am I saying that right? 1904. Says Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you too. Christian, nice to see you as always. Most regular of regulars. And
Nathan, it's horse sheet.
horse sheet. Oh, I see. Very, very amusing.
So what'd you think about yesterday? What was that guy that came in and was babbling about doing trigonometry?
Oh, in the Uncut and After show on the second channel. You saw me swearing at him in the chat. Well, I was a bit annoyed you talking about getting banned. So one of the moderators timed him out, and I think it was Christian. And I was like, why did you do that? You know, I would rather his comments were left there if they've been addressed. Now, if somebody's spamming, then yeah, you get rid of them. But if they've literally had a back and forth with whoever, me in this instance, and then you time them out, all their messages get removed, which does irritate me. I've got to be honest. Like, don't do that. Just leave them. Now, hopefully they'll, you know, backtrack, backpedal, address what has been put to them. But if you time them out, it's like they can't do that. What Neil's discussing is yesterday in the Uncut and After show, we had a commenter that came into the chat and said, when you're using triangles, you can calculate the opposite. I was like, okay, and? He's like, well, you can do it. You can do it with a triangle. You can calculate the opposite. I'm like, what's that got to do with Earth and its measurements? He's like, I don't know. I said, what's your point? And he's like, I don't know. I'm not really making a point. I'm like, yeah, you are. What you're trying to do is force us, as your opponents, into a position where we calculate the height of a star when describing how celestial navigation works with an altitude angle measurement from surface level to a star to form areas of equal elevation so you can calculate where you are positionally on the ground. Now, what's the rebuttal? Well, what's the height of the star? Who cares what the height of the star is? We're trying to figure out where our position is on the ground. So what's relevant is the ground positions, so you can draw a circle around the centre point of where the star is above on the ground. So you can have 3 circles of equal elevation intersect to give you a single point where you are. So you know where you are, so you don't die at sea. If you're lost, that's the point. But what's the height of the star is the reason he's asking me why we can calculate the opposite. Right? We don't need to calculate the opposite. We're not travelling to the star. We're trying to find our position on the ground. But he didn't understand his own argument. So when I'm asking you, okay, and I'm expecting him to say, well, if you're using a triangle, then you should know the height. but he didn't know to say that. In other words, he's some dumbass that's repeating some crap that he's got from some anti-flat earther that's saying, well, these flat earthers say you use triangles. Why can't they get the height? You're like, that's just red herring, or straw man, I should say. It's like, no. It seems like it's addressing the argument to suggest that we should get height. Why? Anybody who uses celestial navigation is trying to find their position on the ground. They're not trying to find the height of the star. That's not why they're doing it. But it seems like you've addressed the argument when we point out Earth is measured flat, so you can calculate your position on a flat ground with areas of equal elevation by use of altitude angles from the surface level. So saying, oh, you've got to give us the height of the star. No, I don't. But he didn't even know why he was asking or telling us that we should be able to calculate part of the triangle that isn't necessary in celestial navigation. Didn't even know why he was trying to give us a non-gotcha. So he got the sharp end of my tongue and then got timed out.
Yeah, I was dealing with him before you came into trying to make him understand that we're not doing trigonometry. It seems like if you draw a triangle, you better solve for it. It's like these freaking trigonometry police out there. You better give me the height. Well, you're using a triangle, so therefore, if you're not giving me the height of the star, then it's not going to work in celestial navigation. Are you kidding me?
Shout out to 76 Mark Palomino. Says, Happy New Year, gents. Well, Happy New Year to you too, Mark. Good to have you in our chat. Please share the show. Nice to get a decent audience on New Year. Hopefully some super chats. We'll see how it goes. Big shout out to our Discord host, Divergent Droid. He was getting some flack in the pre-show from Neil because he's removed his moderation powers.
I really don't care. It doesn't matter. I just won't go there no more. But I was very influential, and I was glad that you came over here. And I pushed for it, and it seems like power went to his head. I timed somebody out in your show, nothing to do with Discord. It was in the re-up of your Uncut After show. So, and he called it bad behavior. That's not bad behavior. If I'm dealing with somebody that comes in with the same thing over and over again, I'm not going to deal with it. I'm going to time them out.
What were they doing over and over again, Neil?
It's this guy that comes in all the time. His name is One Mind, One Spirit. He has his Antichrist hat on all the time, and I'm not going to get into it with him. I've been over it time and time again, the deity of Jesus Christ. He don't believe he's God. He believes that. Fine. Then why do you got to antagonize? Instead, I don't want to deal with this right now. So when I timed him out, then all of a sudden I get a message from Divergent Droid on your show that he's stripping me of my mod powers for bad behavior. That's not bad behavior. But this goes back to something that happened between him, Matthias, myself, and Paula. So it's an internal thing. But I don't care. I just won't go to your freaking Discord server no more.
Shout out to James and Reg in the chat. I should say, in Discord. How you doing? Hey, Joe. Good to have you. You had a nice New Year?
I was about to see. Cheers, guys. How's everything going?
Good, Joe. Good, James. Sorry, I thought it was Joe answering.
Okay.
Both of you.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm here for the show.
Wait, who is that speaking? Is that regular Joe?
No, that was James.
That's James.
Oh, okay.
I think they're both black. Are you both black?
Hello,
Great
James.
voice.
Yes,
Yes and a no.
yes, sir. Okay, yeah, I'm black.
Yeah, both black. That's why.
Regular Joe's black?
Yeah, I think you can see him.
You
on his
didn't know
thumbnail.
that?
Come on, that's a joke from Anthony Riley when he found out chocolate was black.
Yeah, but that's funny because chocolate, the substance chocolate is black. So when you say, I didn't know chocolate was black, that it works on multiple levels. That's why it's humorous. Whereas if you say, well, I didn't know Reg Joe was black. Well, regular Joe is just just a name, innit? It doesn't quite work. Whereas if you say, I didn't know chocolate was black, like, well, have you never seen chocolate before? That's why it works on multiple levels, Neil.
Yeah. That's why I use it, though.
Say again, Joe?
That was me, and that would be dark chocolate if it was black. And it would be milk chocolate is more of a brown, and then you have white chocolate.
Oh, you're one of them, are you? Claiming that black people aren't black because they're not black enough, eh? Racist.
Yeah, I don't like that white chocolate. It's weird.
I've seen that. I watch a couple of different shows that are hosted by black people, and it's only in the last couple of years that I've realised that I don't know if you call it racism. There's like an internal prejudice against lighter-skinned black people from darker-skinned black people. In other words, within black communities, they will question whether or not you're black enough. When I first heard it, I couldn't quite freaking believe my ears. Like, you what? You're going to question whether this man's black enough? It's like, what? Really?
Yeah, same thing in the Indian culture. There's a lot of prejudice towards the light-skinned Indian people.
That's nuts.
Look at Obama. How do you call a half-breed a black man?
Can't say half-breed. That's incredibly racist.
He's black and he's white. He's half black and he's half white. That's called a half-breed.
It's called mixed
Yeah,
race.
but that's a derogatory
Mixed race.
statement.
Half-breed.
Yeah, we call them a lot
Mixed race.
You're getting politically correct on me with your mixed race. It's a half-breed.
Yeah, mixed.
Yeah, mixed race. That's what you'd say. So the
But
race.
that is true. They do go through that. I mean, the barges. I don't know if y'all hip to the barges. They went through that.
Yeah,
when they was
family
in high school.
DeBarge.
Yeah, but
There's one race with many cultures. There's the human race with many cultures.
Sure, but what I'm saying is there's a divide and rule mentality, right? And you think it's, without the pun being too egregious, very black and white in that regard, right? Here's the black community, here's the white community. If we set them against each other, you can divide and rule, right? Keep them fighting amongst themselves. But then you realise that that's divisible further into each of those communities. Are you white enough? You know what I mean? Are you black enough? You're like, really? So the divide and rule mentality goes into the individual races as well, which just I find it quite fascinating.
Well, and so I mean, this is going to sound
racist.
Okay, I have to just say this. So when you get more white in you, you're usually better looking.
Oh my God.
That is a terrible statement.
Couldn't be any more racist. Literally.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
I know. I didn't know how else to say it, so I just said it.
Yeah, I would say the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice.
Oh, that's your opinion.
Once you go black, you never go back.
You know what's funny? They asked Wheezy, Lil Wayne, about racism. He said, I never faced any racism. He said, I got to be honest. Look at my concerts. Look out in the audience. See who's there.
Yeah, it's not the 1970s anymore, is it? I mean, back in the day, when
Who
I
were
was
you just
growing
talking
up,
about? I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Harp.
Wheezy.
I just wanted to. Who?
Wheezy, Lil Wayne.
Lil Wayne, guy with tattoos all over his face. Black guy, little black guy with tattoos all over his face.
Yeah, they put a mic in front of his face. And they...
Go on, Neil. Go on,
The
Neil.
little kid that thinks he can play the guitar? Is that who you're talking about?
He's a rapper.
He doesn't think he can play. He is what he is. Why do people try to take away from his talent? First of all, he put the
Because
person
I'm not sure
right in
exactly
his
who
place.
you're talking about. And if it's the same dude, he only thinks he can play the guitar. That's why I said it. And remember, I'm an actual musician.
So am I.
So am I, and so's my wife.
I could hook up my guitar real quick and warm up and play some stuff. Can you
No,
play
thank
some
you.
bass to it?
We're all right, thanks.
Anyway, besides, the person that stuck the mic in his face was expecting him to be supportive of the fact that there's racism going on. And he said he never faced racism. He grew up in Georgia. He goes, look at my concerts. Look out in the audience. He was there. There's all white kids there. I never faced racism. So I thought that was pretty funny.
So the community I grew up in was predominantly Muslim. So in Birmingham, where I grew up in Moseley and Spark Hill, it was 99% Muslim. And there were a smattering of whites, Chinese and blacks. And generally speaking, I would hang around with... I'd have more black friends than Muslim friends. I mean, don't get me wrong, I did have some Muslim friends, obviously. But by the same token, the like black and white communities were together in the same church. So in the church that I went to, again, the white representation in that particular church was the minority and the majority were black. So you had a black church with a couple of white people in it in a community that was predominantly Muslim. So that's how I grew up. So in terms of the racism, it was mostly directed against the white people where I grew up. Now, this is obviously in England, but that's just because the vast majority of the people in that community were Muslim. So it was the same for the Sikhs. The Sikhs were the most racist because they used to get really irritated with being assumed to be Muslim when they weren't, because they looked very similar. They had a similar colour skin. So it was a very multicultural upbringing that I had. But the racism I experienced was because I was in the minority as a white person in England. Very bizarre. But it didn't strike me as odd because that's just how it was when I was growing up. I didn't know any different. Like when you're a kid, if you don't experience anything other than that, that's just how it is, right? Now, you'd have the racist whites amongst you that would say, oh, the Muslims are all thieves, for example. That's just, I'm not saying they did say that, but just as an example. You're like, well, no. If you're in any community, there's going to be a percentage of that community that are scumbags. And if the majority of the community is Muslim, then there's going to be a small percentage of those Muslims that are scumbags and thieves. Therefore, the assumption by the whites was that, well, all of them are like that. And it's like, no, that's just being racist. If you're in a predominantly black community, there's going to be a small percentage of them that are thieves. You can't then turn around and say all black people are thieves. That's outrageous. Same principle if you're in a predominantly white community. There's going to be a small percentage of them that are scumbags and thieves. You can't suddenly turn around and say all white people are thieves because there's a majority white base for the community and some of them are scumbags. We haven't spoken a tiny bit about Flat Earth yet. 30 minutes into the show. Covered a bit of politics in the pre-show. It's because of Sensual Goat's got a political figure head on his thumbnail, and I asked who it was. That's why we were into talking about racism.
No, I didn't bring this up.
I know, I said I did, but you put it on your thumbnail and asked who was on your thumbnail, and you said that you wanted to take the person on your thumbnail, a political figure here in the UK, wanted to take the UK back to how it was in the 90s. I'm like, well, in the 90s, I grew up in a part of Birmingham that was 99% Muslim.
I grew up in a tiny little coal mining town in the northeast of England, and throughout my childhood, till I went to college in the next local city, there was about 2 black people in the whole of Seaham, which is very early in these days.
Yeah, like I said, there's plenty of black people where I grew up, and I'm sure I was saying a couple of days ago about the guy from UB40, the guy with the big dreadlocks that played the trumpet. I used to wash his car because he lived on my street. Now, the particular street that I lived on, although we weren't particularly rich, was a reasonably affluent street in Birmingham. So, hence, the guy from UB40 lived at the other end of the street. Admittedly, I lived at the Sparkhill end. But at the other end of the street was called Mackenzie Road, was this guy, like I say, the trumpet player from UB40. And his wife, very pretty that she was, would be leaning out the window watching me and my mate clean her husband's car while she was singing along to UB40 songs all day long, with them blasting out of her window while we cleaned his 850, his BMW that looked like a shark. That was fairly common. Like I say, there was as many black people, if not more, than there was whites in the particular area that I grew up in. Same goes for Chinese. Like, all three of those groups were in the minority. But when I went to secondary school for the first year, because I was moved into a private school, but for the first year of my education, I did go to a normal school in Birmingham, like a normal state school. And there was maybe 15 different classes, each with about 40 kids in. And by the end of the year, because there was a couple of other white kids when I started that left by the time I left that school, there was me and another kid called Nathan. There was black Nathan and white Nathan, and that was it. Everybody else was Muslim. So that was it. It was just me and Nathan.
Well, in that example, Nathan, I didn't really get into this, but here we are. The natives of Birmingham were turfed out and replaced by different communities from different places of the world, to the point now where those communities are now running the show. And instead of running it to the benefit of everybody, like they did when the natives are there, they're funneling money out to their own in-groups and special interests, to the point where they can't pay wages and they can't pay the pensions of the council staff, like the binmen. So they go on strike. So now the bins haven't been done in about 6 months. So if that's the sort of town you want to live in, then that's up to you. You know, that's where we go to the voting booth and we differ in our opinions there. But I'll stick to the towns that function, which is mostly homogeneous. And it's from people who inherited this land originally. So they have more influence, and I'd say there's more reason to take care of a land because you're passing it down, rather than you can just move back to your country of origin. So it doesn't really matter what happens here. And that's how kind of how people are treating our towns. So that's why there's a pushback.
They should have freaking took care of business a long time ago. They were allowing, I don't know. I don't want to sound mean here, but they should have closed your doors to certain people a long time ago. But now you're overrun.
See, I don't know if I agree. I think the doors, as you put it, shouldn't be there in the first place. You should just have people have the ability to travel wherever the hell they choose.
Oh, open borders, Nathan. That's really good. You know, it's this political debate. Let's change the subject.
Okay. Earth's flat.
Yeah, we'll end up falling out.
Yeah, we don't want to fall out. By the same token, we are still in a situation where people believe as they are trained, and it doesn't matter what religion you are still taught that Earth's a ball in all education circumstances across the plane. Doesn't matter which country you're in, doesn't matter what religion you are taught the one world religion of heliocentrism, without exception.
Yeah, that's correct. And I agree with you on the open borders. If they didn't put that wedge in there, if the powers that should not be were able to divide and rule, like you said. So now it's like an impossibility to just be able to freely travel wherever you want to go, because they succeeded in what they planned on doing, keeping men fighting with each other through race. So, yeah, and it's all because of the one world religion, heliocentrism, whatever their end game is. But I don't think they were expecting us. I do not think they were expecting this flat Earth to last as long as it did, and for it to gain traction like it has gained traction. And that's because of the internet.
You say it's gained traction. I mean, I don't think I've ever experienced such heavy censorship as I have to date. Currently, this channel, which has, 26,000 subscribers, there's 38 live watchers, which is horrendous. Now, don't get me wrong, it's New Year. Maybe there's a lot of people hungover. But this show is delivered to almost nobody. Same goes for the Uncut and After show on the second channel. It gets 10 viewers now, 11 viewers, 12 viewers, 15 viewers if you're lucky. That's what it gets on a daily basis. Why? Because it's not being presented to anybody. So the level of censorship gets worse the better our, I was going to say arguments, but the better our position comes in terms of the strength of putting across to average Joe, not regular Joe, but average Joe, your everyday people, Ha ha. Everyday people. When we're putting that position across to those everyday people in the most concise way possible, the censorship goes up. They limit how many people can see this show so that we don't influence too many people.
Yeah, that's why it's important to share the show like I'm doing right now. I mean, you got to keep sharing it. Got to keep getting it out there. Because I know there was a time when I used to listen to the re-up, the Uncut and After Show, and there'd be like 80 people in there in chat.
Oh, more than that. It used to be the case before they censored the hell out of me that you'd get 100 plus people watching on the Uncut and After Show on my second channel. That's when it had a couple of thousand subscribers. Not 10,000 as it has now. But when it had a couple of thousand subscribers, you'd have 100 people watching on the Uncut and After Show, on the re-up. And then on the main show, I had buttons programmed into my stream deck to welcome the 400 people that would be watching. So I think I got up to about 380 live viewers at one stage, and had, like I say, a prepared button. So each time it went over 50 more, so it'd be like, oh, I've got 300 people watching. I need a new button to say something to the effect of, please share the show so we can get up to 350 people. Well, the last button I put in was, please share the show so we can get up to 400, meaning that there was 350 plus. I think it got up to 380 or something like that. Live viewers at one stage.
What year was that roughly?
I can't remember. About 5 years ago, before they had Congress told, no, you can't be putting this flat Earth information in front of people anymore. Censor them all. Now it's very quiet. Well, what's happened as time has gone on, our position has strengthened considerably. Well, back in the day when I was getting those numbers, we were utilising flat Earth prerequisite elevation angle measurements, surface level measurements, sea level measurements, altitude measurements, flight levels, and then asking how it worked on a ball, weren't we? Just as they would like us to do. So it kind of made no sense. Well, why are we allowed? Because even then people were suggesting that we were getting censored. It's like, the whole world should know already. And you're like, no, they're more than happy to have us presented to the general masses, because the general masses then get to see us whistle past the flat Earth measurements to ask how it works on a ball, and have some anti-flat Earther come along and tell you how it does work on a ball. Well, we'll tell them that it doesn't work on a ball. Bit like Angels of Weiss yesterday. I am in no doubt that someone like Dave Weiss and Angels of Light still get reasonable numbers. Why? Well, because they whistle past all the flat Earth measurements to ask how it works on a ball, don't they?
Yes, exactly. They get big numbers.
There you go.
They're censoring who they want to censor.
Yeah.
They're censoring the dangerous ones.
Yeah, us. Yeah, make no mistake. There's a reason why Dave Weiss is still popular. Because he's a fucktard. And he's pushing a narrative where we only ever ask how things do or don't work on a ball. Now, us pointing out that every single argument they ever have on the promoted side of the flat Earth are utilising flat Earth measurements that they could just stop the argument with immediately. But as long as both sides get to use the flat Earth measurements without it ever being mentioned that Earth must be measured flat in order to have the argument, then they will continue to be promoted. They will still get algorithmic love from YouTube, because the general public can look upon Dave Weiss arguing for how things don't work on a ball and ignoring every single flat Earth prerequisite measurement that he's using along the way, and watch his opponent tell him, well, how does this work on a ball from surface level or sea level? What if we're in level flight? How does that work on a ball? Can we have a gyroscope work with gravity? It's like, hold on. You've got about half a dozen different flat Earth measurements that are being whistled past. Well, when we say that, give him 11 viewers. Don't let anybody see the show. Well, that just tells me we're doing something right. Doesn't help me pay my mortgage. Please smash the super chat.
That's it. We're over the target. And those particular people you mentioned are right where the powers that should not be want them to be.
Yes. And they're the type of people that they want there as well. What kind of person do they want to be a flat earther? Well, somebody who's a conspiracy theorist. Dave Weiss is an expert in 9/11 truth. Perfect candidate for being a flat earther. So you can point to him and argue all day long about things that aren't flat earth from his position of expertise in conspiracy. Not about earth measurements and geometry, not geography and mathematics, but 9/11 truth and Sandy Hook. That's what Dave Weiss is an expert in, isn't he? His former channel number, DITRH, Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. There is no rabbit hole. Earth's just measured flat. It's not even that serious. But so long as we're saying that, we will only get a limited audience.
Deep inside the rabbit hole. Give him 200,000 subs.
Yeah.
Oh, what a shame.
Meanwhile, the people who will prop up and support people like Dave Weiss are the people that will go back on the ball, like Jaron.
Well, that's because nobody understands large spheres like Jiren does.
Earth is like a Home Depot.
Right. Meanwhile, we're pointing out how every single Earth measurement in all circumstances is flat. So, like I say, that requires a heavy degree of censorship. It may be the case that changes someday. Maybe it won't. Who knows? But for the time being, the 44 people that are watching this show know the score. They know how Earth is measured. They know that when you look at any Earth measurement, it is and can only be flat. So long as there's a detachment from those facts by conspiratards, then the perpetuation of a flat Earth meme where there's a society of flat earthers talking about how Earth is not a ball will continue. And it'll be propped up and promoted. As long as you're talking about how Earth is not a ball and how Earth is not a ball, because if we use these here flat Earth measurements to create a ball and then show how the ball doesn't work, your average anti-flat earther can come along and tell you how it does. And you can continually argue all day long about how Earth is or is not a ball. When we come along and go, it's just measured flat. What's that? You want to talk about your altitude? Flat. You want to talk about the surface level? Flat. You want to talk about sea level? Flat. You want to talk about flight level? Flat. You want to talk about navigation? Flat. Mapping? Flat. Surveying? Flat. It's all flat Earth measurements. That's the only measurements we have. If you haven't got those flat Earth measurements, you can't create a ball with them. But before you get to create a ball to argue about whether or not Earth is that ball, you need to measure Earth flat to mathematically create that ball. Like I say, censor us. That's why we are censored here on Flat Earth Debate.
Yeah, but the flat is subject to gravity, which works on a ball.
The axiomatic principles when measuring will remain. You can't measure perpendicular to gravity. Gravity, if you're going to describe it as a perpendicularity, would just be a downward vector. If you're going to make it work. Well, if you're just describing gravity as a downward vector, then you've still just got perpendicular to a plane. So inserting this notion of having a perpendicularity to a gravity vector, we mean down. Okay, so we're going to be talking about down then. Yeah, down with respect to a plane. Doesn't change any of the measurements, does it? But when they infer that there's a gravity vector with respect to a curve, well, then you can't have perpendicular anymore. It violates the axiomatic principle used in the measurement. As long as you don't know that, or know that gravity is just down, yeah, downward vector, yeah, well, you'll need a perpendicularity just to describe gravity. If you take Newtonian forces of gravity, it's a suggestion that all things tend downwards towards the ground. Yeah, perpendicular to a plane of reference. You need a flat Earth for Newtonian gravity. Same goes for Einsteinian. Up 9.8 meters per second. Well, then you still need a plane of reference to describe that, don't you? Doesn't matter which gravity you use. You're still just convoluting the reality of flat Earth measurements. Regardless of a suggestion that the ground's constantly moving up 9.8 meters per second, or that all things tend towards the ground, it doesn't matter if you use Einsteinian or Newtonian concepts of gravity. You still need perpendicularity to a plane of reference, in both instances. So you still need a flat Earth for both of them. Censor us! Get rid of us! Don't let them hear it! All roads lead to a flat Earth. It doesn't matter if you're utilising gravity to suggest you're on a ball, you'll still require a flat plane of reference. There is no exception. If you're going to describe an Earth measurement, in this case the false notion that things tend towards the Earth, then you've got a downward vector. You're going to need the axiomatic principles of perpendicularity to hold true to describe a downward vector. Gravity requires a flat Earth. It's wrong. Not all things tend towards the ground. Fart, and you will know that is not true. Gases spread out in all directions. Look up at a cloud and know that all things don't tend towards the ground. But regardless of how wrong it is, the description mathematically still requires a flat plane, regardless of how wrong it is. Just talking about a downward vector. When describing things dropping through the air, which you can describe with a downward vector, you're describing them dropping in the vertical, perpendicular to horizontal. Those axioms will always hold true. There's nothing you can do about it. Earth will always be measured flat. And it's very simple once you understand it.
That's correct. And we also changed their language. They no longer say up, they'll say away or out. And instead of down, they'll say towards or in. So they know.
But the reason it falls down is because gravity is a force, because we can think of it as a force, and it's pulling the object towards the center, towards the molten iron core. Yeah?
What, like the clouds?
Well, gravity's weaker because they're higher up.
But they're not moving down. Say what, it's weaker. What, for the gases? All of the gases come out of the ground and go up, without exception. So what, is it weakest at the ground? Well, no, that's where they're coming out of the ground and going up. If it's strongest at the ground, they would have puddles of gas. Meanwhile, your description still has perpendicularity to a plane of reference for a downward vector. It still requires a flat Earth to describe, inaccurate and incorrect that it is. It still requires a flat plane of reference to describe it. It's a downward vector. The fact that it's wrong is irrelevant. You still need a flat Earth for it. No, yesterday, describing how the plane is or isn't nosing up or down. It's like, if you're going to describe a plane nosing up, what, perpendicular to a plane of reference? Or down, perpendicular to a plane of reference? Yeah, those are both axiomatically tied to having horizontal as an axiomatic principle to describe the angle of ascent or descent for a plane. That is to say, you require Earth be that plane of reference to have the horizontal to describe the angle. That's how Earth is being measured. Not how it could be measured. That's how planes stay in the frickin' air. It's not questionable. It's not debatable. We have planes. We do measure Earth flat to describe the angle of attack of the plane when it's ascending or descending. Just that description, ascent or descent, requires a flat Earth.
Yeah, if he would have just added that in as he was doing his little demonstration, that's all he needed to do was add it in, just the way you did it just now. And
Tap it in.
I think the guy's eyes would have been opened.
Yeah, maybe that's my problem. Maybe that's why I get a limited audience. I know it's not, it's censorship, but my apathy, because I don't care. You know, that Dumbo's professing that you've got perpendicularity to a gravity field. It's like, well, what, you're talking about a downward vector? What's that, you want it to be an inward vector? Well, okay, well then how are you going to describe perpendicularity? How can you have down with respect to a curve? That's not how the axiom works. But you want it to work with respect to a ball when the axiomatic principle that's used when you're measuring an angle for the plane to describe whether it's pitch up or pitch down requires a horizontal plane of reference in the first instance. Before you've done anything, you've required Earth be flat. I don't care if he knows that. Like, you dumbass ballers aren't flying the frickin' plane, are you? But meanwhile, we've got gyroscopic motion to keep it straight and level. You've got ground control telling the flight controller to go to a certain level. Level. Parallel with the ground. Parallel with the other planes in the air. That's how flight levels work. Now, is that debatable? Is that something that you need to challenge me on? I don't care if you do. It's irrelevant to me if you challenge me. I'm not a pilot. I'm not keeping the planes in the air. I'm not using these axiomatic principles and gyroscopic motion, am I? But the planes are definitely flying parallel with the ground. Whether you freaking like it or not, dumbos.
Yeah, you just need somebody to highlight it. As he was doing, just highlight those. Like if this is what I was thinking in my mind as you were reviewing the video. If you were sitting right next to him, that would have been a great video because you would have kept pointing it out and the guy would not have been able to do anything else but realize, holy shoot, this guy's right. How am I even getting pitch? How am I even getting elevation? Elevation to what? Height to what? Yeah.
Yeah, they want to and have been utilising flat Earth prerequisite measurements for 10 years. We used to do it. We'd use a flat Earth measurement like height, altitude, perpendicular to the sea level, as measured with an altimeter, and then start asking how it functions on a ball, just like Angels of Weiss did. Oh, why? Once you've got the measurement and its axiomatic principles that require Earth be flat, you don't need anything else. And that is being utilised in that way. So there's no dispute, there's no discussion, there's no debate. There's just flat Earth measurements. That's all there is. Shout out to Caprica Soul. Good to have you in our chat. Also, Gaz, 1981, nice to see you. And Bass Matthew Roberts, nice to see you also. Happy New Year to all of you. Hope you're having a good one. Smash the super chat to support this channel. Hit me up on PayPal.
It'll be a great new year. But if Alabama loses today, it will be a miserable start to a new year.
Just do a quick shout out to Michael. So you know who you are, Michael. I'm not going to give your full name out, but he's been supporting me on PayPal for quite literally years. One of my longest contributors. He used to, back in the day, give me $50 super chats, but then at some point he transitioned to giving me PayPals. And for the last couple of months, I've been telling him each and every time he gives me a PayPal that it's going to my wife to edit the book. So I'm paying her to edit my book currently. And yeah, I just want to shout out Michael. So thank you very much for all of your support over the years. Every single time he sends it me, I send the same reply. Thank you very much for your support and generosity. I really appreciate it. It really is genuinely appreciated because I can't really think of anything else to say. But I type it out by hand each and every time that he sends me a PayPal. And at the moment, I'm just adding, it's still going directed to my wife currently for editing my book. But thank you very much. I really appreciate you putting me in the position where I can actually pay my wife to help me edit my book. So thank you very much, Michael. You know who you are.
This is that great community that you put together.
Yeah, I feel very privileged. Go ahead.
And his name's Mike, which is close to your heart.
Because his name's Mike? I'm starting to despise Mike's, actually, if I'm honest. Not Michael's, but Mike, as in microphones. Just because they're robbing me of so much time. Like I say, yesterday, because the paper shop where I send my purchases to save £1 on every purchase for the click and collect rather than having it delivered to my front door. So I have to walk up to this paper shop, and I walked up with a purchase somebody had made, and it was closed. I'm like, oh, I was expecting to get a whole bunch of stuff from there today because it was all on the way. Now, fair enough to them, they want to close early for New Year's Eve and go out and get drunk, presumably. But it meant that my stuff's now got back on the van and is now in the cold waiting in some depot to come back to the paper shop tomorrow, which is irritating. But it meant that I actually got to watch my show. I got to have enough spare time to watch my own show and listen back to it. I used to do that all the time, like monitor what was being done on the show after it had been produced. Check that it was okay, basically. Whereas I very, very rarely ever get the opportunity to do that, and it's because I'm selling microphones all day long. Keep a little spreadsheet of how many microphones I've bought and what I've spent on them. To date, I've spent £12,500 on microphones. Obviously, I've sold them.
How many microphones is that bought?
Once I've cleared out the last 50 or 60 that I've got left, I'll have sold 500 microphones over the course of a year.
Impressive.
Yeah, I know a lot about microphones now. But I also calculated today how many views I'd had from shorts videos So not including the very limited number of views I've got from long form videos on microphones. They don't tend to do very well. You know, I might get 60 or 100 views on a long form video about microphones. But the shorts videos, on average, do about 500 views per video. And I've got, I think, 240 or thereabouts, something like that. I did a rough calculation, just calculated the number of rows in my shorts feed, and then timesed it by the average of the number of views each video got, which is about 500 views. You know, don't get me wrong, some have got 300, some have got 1,000. But on average, they get about 500 views. So there's about 120,000 views from microphones. I did the calculation when it was at 100, like, I don't know, a couple of months ago. And I suggested that based on the rule of 10, there'd be at least 1 or 2 people who've not just realised I'm a flat earther, but actually become flat earthers as a consequence of watching a microphone video. That is to say, there'll be enough people who have looked at the channel, developed a small intrigue, watched a couple of videos and realised Earth is measured flat, and then become a flat earther as a consequence, because they've come to watch a video about a Sennheiser microphone or whatever. Amazing, really.
Has it happened?
Sorry. Maybe if you'd done the mics on a new separate channel, it wouldn't be tarnished by any flat earth connotations from this channel, and you might get even more views.
Maybe, but I'm quite content to have them on the same channel. I'd rather it be the case that a couple of people have come to the subject of flat earth as a consequence of watching mic videos because they're on the same channel. Now, the purpose of producing mic videos isn't to generate views on YouTube. They're there so I can put an advert together with a demonstration of the microphone being functional in the eBay advert. That's what they're there for. Now, as a byproduct, they've developed views, something I'd never considered. I didn't think, I must put these videos out so I get hundreds of thousands of views on them. That wasn't the intention. That's a nice little Brucey bonus, though, isn't it? Because they'll just keep growing. If you're searching for a particular obscure microphone and you type its name in, that will bring up my video. The shorts video, that is. Now, if you typed in the specific title of this show, you wouldn't find your way to this show. But for a microphone, you would, even though it's on a censored channel. You know, that YouTube will still present you with my microphone videos. If you have the exact name of the microphone that I've happened to have covered, it will take you to that video.
That's so sad.
Yeah, isn't it nuts? I mean, it's not like it's to my detriment. I mean, yes, the number of views go down, but I already knew that the censorship was so egregious that I'd have to make up for it with quantity. That's not to say that the quality is lower. Like, this is just as good a show as any other, right? I mean, we admittedly covered racism for the first 30 minutes, but the show itself is just as high a quality as it ever was and ever will be. You know, I like to pride myself on producing a good show. But the numbers are made up by the quantity. That is to say, because I have so many shows, like thousands of shows, this channel has got almost 10 million views. Yeah, in part of the book, my wife was saying, how many views shall I put it down as? Because I think it's like 9 million and something at the moment. And I was like, put it down as 10 million, because I've got 2 channels. Now, the other channel's got 2 or 3 million views, and this one's got 9+ million views. And by the time the book's been out for 6 months, this channel will have 10 million views. So just put the number as 10 million. If someone was like, yeah, I haven't got 10 million, you've got 9.2. I'd be like, okay, yeah, this particular moment, I haven't got 10 million views on Nathan Oakley 1980. But overall, in terms of total video views on Flat Earth, it is well in excess of 10 million when you take the 2 channels combined total.
Nathan, you always round off in your favor. When I was getting paid, if it went past that 50, then it was on to 100. It always goes in your favor. So if it was $1,151, $1,200, You never round off against you. Always in your favor. So
Sure.
give it 15 million.
Well, it probably is closer to 15 million when you combine the two different channels together. Because obviously the second channel still accumulates quite a number of views. It's got as many videos coming out as the main channel in terms of flat Earth debate shows, that is. And yeah, there's several million views on the second channel and in excess of 9 million views currently on this channel. Well, that is a testament to my hard work and dedication to putting out material on a very, very regular basis. Now, that does two things. It means that I've built a good community of people who, I don't want to say they depend on the show, but you get people who, you know, get into a routine, that's the word, of watching the show. And you can attest to this, Neil. When the routine is broken for whatever reason, people get a bit uppity with me. They're like, oh, well, I'm used to watching the show in the morning, and if it's not on, it irritates me. I want it there. Part of my routine now.
That's correct. People, they set their clocks around it, you know, what they do during the day. I know I did when I was just a listener, especially on an after show. I'd have it timed when that was going to happen. Yeah, so, you know, people look forward to it. I mean,
yeah.
And you don't do it and people get upset. I get
just
upset.
remember looking into how to have a successful YouTube channel, and one of the things they said was to have a regular upload schedule. That is to say, if you're going to do videos, do them once a week, once a month, however often, but try and keep to that schedule. That is to say, if you tell your audience, every Wednesday I'll release a video, then do that. Every Wednesday, release a video. Now, if you haven't got enough material to produce a video every Wednesday, then tell them every other week, on a Wednesday, I'll release a video. Now, for me, it's 3 times a day.
Yeah, that's great. That is great. But I was going to ask you, I understand censorship, but I think a lot of it has to do with people are getting a little bored, maybe mundane, should you say? Could that be it too? It's lost its juice. Like when it first hit, I mean, this was hot. You couldn't freaking find enough YouTube videos of people talking about it. And now it's like teetering out a little bit. I'm hoping when the book hits that there'll be a rejuvenation. I don't know. It's just my opinion.
No, I don't agree. I think what you're talking about is people who are in the community already. You say, well, the choir's getting bored. Well, yeah, I don't disagree with that. But in terms of the influence that we could have on anybody who's never come across the subject, that wouldn't change regardless of the amount of time that's progressed. The guy we watched yesterday, who was reacting to Angels of Light, was he less enthused by what he was witnessing? No.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I got you. Because there have been people that just come to your channel, and they were just as like amped up as I was when I first came. So yeah.
Exactly. So how do you effectively censor? Well, you make sure you keep the choir closed in. So when they describe how we are in an echo chamber, yeah, we are. They force us to be by less exposure to anybody else. So the guy who's watching Angels of Weiss debate with an anti-flat earther, he gets to see that progression and get enthusiastic about the subject matter from a perspective that we disagree with. Why? Well, because our position completely annihilates any notion of it being a sphere by pointing out how Earth's measured flat. Don't even have to mention the sphere that they believe in. Well, if you came across us as a normie and you're like, Earth's measured flat? Yep, in all instances, then it is left to the person who's watching that to go, but I believed I was on a sphere, rather than us doing it for them. We offer self-realization. People will naturally realize they're not on a sphere when they have it pointed out that Earth's measured flat in all circumstances. That's incredibly dangerous. If you're arguing about whether or not it is or isn't a sphere, the notion that it could still be a sphere remains predominant in the person that wants it to be a sphere. We don't give anybody that option. If you come here, when you listen to me tell you Earth's measured flat, the plane is flying across the surface level. Its pitch is measured with respect to the horizontal. It's altitudes measured from the sea level. When I tell you those facts, there's no ambiguity. There's no doubt left in anybody's mind when they hear that. Because there is no doubt to have. That is how Earth is measured. Flat. Well, what are you going to do when you hear that and go, well, I was brought up to believe something else? Couldn't give a shit what you were born to believe. It's measured flat. Do I care what you believe when I tell you how it's measured? No. But that is the kind of flat smacking that you never got for the last 10 years when we debated about how Earth was or was not a sphere. Now, you're left with no ambiguity, no wiggle room, no weasel space to suggest that you might still be on the ball that you believed you were on. Once you know it's measured flat, there is no going back. You just know how Earth's measured then, don't you? It's flat. You don't want us in front of normies, because then there's no argument to be had. So long as there's an argument, there's the possibility that you might be wrong about it being flat. When you know it's measured flat, you're not ever going to question whether or not it's the case, because it is the case. That's the measurements. So what are you going to do? Argue with how planes function? No. You're going to argue how the mapping's been surveyed? No. You're going to argue about how navigation's performed? No. That's how it's done. Flat. That's how we measure Earth. So we don't leave any ambiguity for people to argue about anymore. Hence, we are absolutely unequivocally required to be censored. We're very dangerous. Please share the show.
I see CC is picking up a task. He's letting people know that if you want to join the show, you can join the show. Just give him the server. Yeah, very good.
Indeedy weedy. Anybody got anything?
Even though he timed somebody out that you were debating, it's okay. I remember I did that one time when I first got the stamp for you're a moderator. I was just trying to see how things worked, and I just happened to time out somebody that you were going back and forth with for about 40 minutes. You were like, "Why did you time him out? All his comments are gone now." I was like, I was just checking to see how it worked. It was funny.
I don't mind so much. It's not that serious, but you know, it's just if you come back and look at the chat and there's only one side of the conversation there for somebody who's reviewing the chat after the fact, very unlikely these days, given the high degree of censorship.
Why do they do that, though? Why can't they fix that? Because that stops me from timing out people a lot, because I'm like, if I time them out, everything's going to be gone. And what they'll do is it'll be a back and forth debate, and then they'll throw something in there, something really bad. And you've heard these things before, and I have to time them out. But they do it deliberately because they know that everything they said, once they say this one thing, they're going to get timed out and everything will be erased. So YouTube has to fix that.
I mean, I can understand the mentality behind removing all comments. If somebody's in there spewing a load of racist hate, then you need to get rid of all of it, right? So I understand the principle behind wiping out all the comments. And I also agree with you. It's like, if you've lost badly in debate in the chat section, you just need to spew some racist shit, and then you get all your comments removed, and it's like it never happened.
Correct.
Hey, Riggs. How you doing? Hey, Rebecca. Hey, East is West. Good to have you all.
Who is East is West? I'd like to get a mic check from him.
Can you say hello? East is West. All right.
This is West.
Hello, good morning. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Riggs. Nice to have you. We'll be rounding out this live show shortly, so I don't know who East is West is, Neil. Maybe I'll say hello in a minute.
I have a sneaky suspicion it's
East is
Matt
West.
Eastman.
Say again, Joe?
I said East is West usually don't talk, so I don't know if they got a mic or.
Of course. That's why you join a voice chat. makes perfect sense.
I'm thinking it's that Matthew
Maybe they-
Eastman guy.
Maybe. I don't think I've
Nathan,
ever
I
heard
was
the
reading
Rebecca character or Rebecca chat person speak either.
No, I spoke to that person yesterday. He's the Aussie.
Rebecca is an Aussie bloke.
Absolutely.
Why would you call yourself Rebecca if you're an Aussie bloke?
Why are there
Mhm.
neutral roles in the server? There are no neutral people. This East is West is neutral.
maybe he's Rebecca in After Hours.
Maybe it's
I tell you what, it
5.5.
didn't sound like it.
Did you not hear that I was talking about East to West or East is
Yes.
West? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
I don't know. You'd have to ask Divergent Droid how he set up his server. So you're saying that there's roles for flatties, roles for globers, and roles for being neutral.
Yep. Just like the old server where you know that didn't work and they were all liars.
Well, you better buckle in, Hop, because I think we've created a monster. It's gonna be worse than Righteous ever was. So buckle up.
I don't think so, Neil. Big shout out
I
to
think
you.
I'm going to have to transfer ownership of all my servers over to my one account and be in here with this one in case this gets nuked.
Yeah, servers are 10 a penny, right? There's plenty of servers to be frequenting if things go awry with Divergent Droid. I'd be very, very surprised. I've known Divergent Droid for years. Good guy.
So have I. That's why it's all the more insulting what he did to me. But that's between me and him.
Yeah.
You can shout out a super chat, Nathan?
Was there a super chat?
I don't know. I thought I heard you say shout out and then Hop interjected.
No. Nobody's super chatted. Hopefully they will. I'll stay live a couple of more minutes just in case we do now get a super chat. Gotta pay the bills.
Listen, could be personal. I don't know, but just something happens where like you get this freaking power trip. I don't know. Weird to me. I was shocked by it, but we'll see. Maybe things will get straightened out. I'm a loyal guy, though. Don't make me your freaking enemy. I'm the
I'm
wrong
sure
guy
he's
to have
not
as your enemy.
Divergent Droid is not your enemy. Oxbow Spirit says, Droid is amazing. I appreciate the sentiment, Oxbow.
The Droid is
Not here today. He's probably half cut or hungover or whatever.
Yeah, no, he knows better. Freaking bucking me. You can run, but you can't hide.
Give me that $20. You bought him cheap.
Yeah, I want to just say something because talk about this YouTube algorithm because it's kind of weird because they got like when I started my channel and I took the tutorial, they was basically saying like based in the category that you are in due to the search engine, the algorithm is supposed to not only for like popular views recommend your channel, but it's supposed to go off of volume as well. Like, so you make a lot of videos. So I'm just saying with Nathan's channel, due to the fact that he already have over 2,000 videos, I mean, he should be really at the top of the list. I mean, I looked it up. I was like, well, he got more videos than even the anti-flat earthers have. So, you know, honestly, he should be at the top of the list due to he's more relevant to the category and he's pushing out the volume that is superseding even people that they're promoting. So it's not only supposed to be about just how many views these people is getting. It's supposed to be an advantage for the little guy if they're pushing out the work. They're supposed to be rewarding you with it being visible. So I don't understand on, why the algorithm is just, it ain't like it's
Flat
just
Earth is censored, bro.
Yeah,
like,
heavily.
it seems like they
That's his
personal
point.
thing. It's like-
Okay, what Reggie's saying, just to reiterate, what Reggie's saying is if you go through what YouTube suggests you should do to be a successful YouTuber, if you put out a lot of content, in other words, if you dedicate your life to being a YouTuber, then you get supported in kind by YouTube promoting your material. And he's saying, Jesus, you've got 2,000 plus videos on the subject. And while he was saying that, I went from 44 viewers to 37. Yeah, it makes no sense. Yeah, it's because we're heavily censored. I just want to do a shout out because somebody who typically wouldn't say anything in the chat. So C5C says 5+ year lurker / supporter here. Nathan is ace. The earth is measured flat. Really nice to see you doing that. Thank you very much for putting a little note in the comments section. I do watch them go by. When you see things like that, it does bring a smile to my face. When you say, I've been lurking here for 5 years without commenting. Thank you very much for the chat.
Who's that?
E-C5C.
All right. There is hope. There are lurkers.
Right. Remember when Dave Weiss was exposed as one?
Oh, yeah. We caught him in here when he said he didn't watch. Yeah, he won't be watching. Okay.
Yeah,
It's just because I go to the karaoke bar doesn't mean I have to sing. I get to enjoy watching others.
Yes, that's very true. Shout out to... Did get a super chat in the end. Oops, wrong bit. To bring up my viewer activity, the windows are all too overlapping for me to see. Caprica Soul, thank you very much indeed for the super chat. This show is the highlight of my day. Thanks, Nathan. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for the super chat and for the sentiment. It's the highlight of my day. I mean, as much as I moan about being censored, it wouldn't matter if I had 2 people watching. I'd still do this show. I still love doing what I'm doing. Yes, I'd obviously like it if YouTube actually supported me in the same way I support their platform, with the amount of material and work that I put into their platform. And it is their platform, and I accept that. But I'd still be doing this if you were the only person watching, so thank you very much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. I love what I do too. This is the highlight of my day as well. Or I wouldn't be doing it on New Year's Day, right? Right, anybody got any last comments before I round out and move into the after show?
Yeah, if
Happy
now's
New Year.
a good time. I run a server called Worldwide Debates. We cover Earth topics as well, among other things. And some of my members have requested that you should run a show there every, once in a while or periodically.
Oh, absolutely.
If you'd be interested.
I'd love to, yes. I've got no allegiance.
It's,
as much as I'm praising Divergent,
yeah, it's similar
I don't have any
to
allegiance
Earth
him, so-
Awakenings, similar to that in a lot of respects. So
Perfect. No, I'd love to. Yeah, if you can supply me with the link to it, however that's done.
Sure.
Somebody who's in my internal chats will provide it to me. When I
Sure.
joined this server for the first time, Riggs, Divergent just managed to get me a link that immediately took me into a room. If you can do something similar, then great. I'll join next time we go live, which will probably be tomorrow.
Riggs, if you could send it to me, he's on a Master B. Send it in the FED chat, and I'll grab it and put it in Master B.
Perfect. What a wonderful note to end on. So with that, I'm going to say first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both my Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you watching live for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, speaking up in the chat after 5 years of lurking, and all that good stuff. If you're watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Programming streams, however, stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Another massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video. Have a nice new year. Happy 2026.
But when you measure it flat, it contradicts that. I'm spitting flat facts and that. And I know you don't like that. Google Maps is flat, it presents elevation profiles like that. I'm a spitting flat earth king. Sentence has a ring, doing my own thing. If Earth was a big roast chicken, factually finger licking chicken, we just got the measurements missing. I'm spitting eggs and begs, begging the question lesson. I've said it before, time after time. I'm the spitting flat Earth king of rhyme.